do it. Let's talk about Agent Orange. Now, yesterday, Donald Trump, he decided to make a comment about these young men who are being wrongfully accused of crimes. Now, all of a sudden, the context of that really was Brett Kavanaugh, okay? A privileged 50-something-year-old white man who was just saying, I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Yet, Donald Trump was the one leading the charge and talking about the Central Park Five. And so today, at the White House, two black reporters questioned Sarah Huckabee Sanders about this very issue of the Central Park Five and what Donald Trump had to say. And this is how she responded.
President Trump talked a lot yesterday about this issue of being concerned about men being guilty before being thought guilty before proven innocent, and this idea of due process. But in the past, with the Central Park Five, he put out an ad basically calling for the death penalty before they had been found convicted, and even after they were exonerated, he still basically said that they may be guilty. And even as president, he has talked about presided over rallies where people say lock her up, talking about Hillary Clinton. So I guess, is there a disconnect between when the president is interested in due process for some, but not for others?
Not at all. The president actually encouraged the Senate to hear Dr. Ford's testimony in the same way he encouraged them to hear Judge Kavanaugh's. He is simply stating the fact that we are a country of law and order. We are a country that still believes that you're innocent until proven guilty, and we want to see that process go through in its entirety, and it should be on a fair playing field. That's simply the only point he's making.
Guilty. He said the Central Park Five was guilty.
Yes.
And does he feel that now?
I'd have to look back at the specific comments. Dave.
But that's the real question in the midst of this. The president has taken this moment.
Dave, go ahead.
The president has taken this moment to say that he's been affected personally by all of these allegations, and he's picking and choosing, just as this question was. He said that the Central Park Five was guilty, and then he has made Bill Clinton guilty. Has he decided to change his mind on the Central Park Five as they have been exonerated?
It's interesting that you bring up Bill Clinton. Nobody wants to hear those accusers' voices be heard, but you're certainly happy to hear all the others. Dave, go ahead.
The president had them at the debate.
I've addressed this. I don't have anything else to add. Dave, go ahead.
Is he still talking to them?
Sarah, several times.
I'm sorry, did anybody hear an answer to the Central Park Five? Did you actually hear?
She can't answer because it's the depths of hypocrisy from this president that he stands up there and wants to talk about, what's so sad about it is that his underlying point is actually accurate. He is just, of course, the entirely wrong message for it. But this president, when it comes to Yusef Salaam and Antron McCray and Raymond Santana and Kevin Richardson and Corey Wise, he doesn't know anything about what it really means to be falsely accused of something. So the fact that he's brought this up in this context when it comes to Brett Kavanaugh is, of course, the height of irony. He took out a full-page ad in the New York Times to declare that these guys should have gotten a death penalty. We had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. But unfortunately, I do have to say I agree with the president in some ways, because in this moment, men are assumed guilty. When it comes to a Me Too accusation, it's very difficult to exonerate yourself in this situation. He's just the wrong person.
Henry, go to my iPad. This story here, folks, this is NBC News website from October 2016. Headline, Donald Trump says Central Park Five are guilty despite DNA evidence. And Donald Trump issued a statement to CNN, Kim, to CNN, Kim. This is what he said, quote, they admitted they were guilty. The police doing the original investigation say they were guilty. The fact that that case was settled with so much evidence against them is outrageous, and the woman so badly injured will never be the same. Now, they were convicted, went to jail. Somebody else admitted to the crime. He was already in jail. They tested his DNA. Right. It matched the DNA that was also on her. A separate settlement. New York taxpayers had to spend $41 million in a settlement. And Donald Trump took a full-page ad out at that time and said they should get the death penalty in New York. Now we know they were completely innocent, yet this man sat there and said they admitted they were guilt, and he doubled down and refuses to apologize to him. So why in the hell should anybody listen to him when he dare says that it's tough for young men in America who have been accused of something they didn't do, when he and then his spokeswoman won't even answer the question when it's clear and precise that he owes them an apology. What say you?
Yeah, it contradicts what he was saying today. I mean, obviously he owes them an apology. I think I'll take it a step further. I think he even said that they should suffer. And obviously they are innocent, and he should know, you know, even just talking about Brett Kavanaugh, I think he should have offered an apology at that point in time, and he failed to do so, and that was a missed opportunity.
Joe?
Oh, what's your question? I mean,
whatever you want to say.
You know, first of all, it's not what he said today. It's the how he said it. Millions of women have bared their souls as it relates to sexual abuse, and he lacked the decency that he showed earlier when he suggested that the good doctor was an interesting individual with a sense of dignity. He stripped that dignity from her. The other thing I want to remind people and your audience is this: you do not get answers at White House briefings. Let's just understand that. We have an individual who is the president of the White House Correspondents.
Right.
And he said on my show, Roland, you don't get answers at the White House briefing. All you get are briefings. And that's and you hit it. She ignored that question. She didn't have an answer. She wasn't going to have an answer. And if she had given the answer that you gave, and that I'll give, and that you'll give, she would have probably been fired by Donald Trump before she could get back to her office.
Here we go to my iPad. I want to show people this.
That's
was
the ad,
ad that Donald Trump took out. Bring back the death penalty. Bring back our police. Yeah. And in this ad, you have all of this here, where he rips them and says, yes, this is what he says. Yes, Mayor Koch, I want to hate these murderers, and I always will.
Right.
I am not looking to psychoanalyze or understand them. I'm looking to punish them. If the punishment is strong, the attacks on innocent people will stop. I recently watched a newscast trying to explain the anger in these young men. I no longer want to understand their anger. I want them to understand our anger. I want them to be afraid.
If anybody should be, psychoanalyzed, it should be the president of the United States. And there have been people who have done it from a distance. They've all come up with the same thing. Listen to what he just said. Even before he was president, even thought about being president, he's watching the news. You know, and we cannot have a president govern by sitting up watching the news unless he's watching this program. But I mean, the reality is that he hasn't changed. And I think one of the mistakes I think we make in this country is, you know what, we give this man too much attention, too much credit. I know he's president of the United States, but the reality is, I think most people now have seen what New Yorkers have known for decades about this man.
That's what I was going to say. As somebody who grew up in New York, you know, that thing that you just read, Roland, when I was a kid, I remember him being on TV voicing the exact same words from the ad. But, you know, we in the press make a huge mistake giving this guy a bullhorn, not realizing he's going after the First Amendment, right? And he has no respect for the First Amendment. He has no respect for our Constitution. And we end up effectively assisting him in his communication strategy by putting his nonsense out there. And of course, you know, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has no answer because the answer is clear. The man is a hypocrite, and there's really nothing, you know, there's really nothing to talk about with that.